God.
That's really cool.
All
Okay.
right. Let's move on.
What's next?
Oh, well, a game has appeared.
Why do you look so surprised? You're the one that pressed play.
Stop it! Hey, don't ruin my segment. Hey. I mean, okay, all right, just okay.
All right. Okay. Wait, what are we watching here?
Well, I thought you would know.
Oh, I think this is called Lords of the Fallen.
No, Mark, it's called The Witcher. You tell everybody what we're doing.
Oh, and you're correct. We highlighted The Witcher, which we did. Now we're talking about I will ban you. I won't ask. I already did
The sins I have committed have left their mark. Now I shall leave mine.
Please, that boss is big guy.
Go around tonight. Take your life.
These guys remind me of Warhammer. Just like super big,
I was gonna say,
super
like, Gears of
buff,
War.
and giant pauldrons.
I was
It's like
gonna say
these
Gears
guys
of
have
War,
the biggest shoulders in the world. Who's designing their doorways?
Well, I mean,
Like these are
interesting
just
thing is,
really inconvenient.
in a way, and I understand they actually do intertwine that into the story a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you guys have figured it out,
sideways when walking
yeah.
your door.
If you guys haven't figured it out yet, this is Lords of the Fallen. This comes out, I believe, is it not this Tuesday? Next Tuesday? Or is it
Yeah.
this Tuesday?
I think it comes out next Tuesday. I think it's this month. I think it's October. So
I think it's actually this Tuesday.
yeah, I think it's this coming Tuesday.
2 days.
The 28th.
3 days. All right, so obviously a lot of people say it's spiritual of Dark Souls and meets Borderlands. And, I mean, in some ways they're right. And even the developer has said, yes, we get that. And it's not that we were going for it, but we did adopt a lot of ideas from that. They're two great games, and we wanted to implement everything that we could to make our version of what we thought a great game would be.
Mm-hmm.
So it is obviously different. But the one thing that is different, and this is going to be some people's dislike to Mark, or to some people's liking to like me, the difficulty is a big thing to change, as well as the story. So there's much more of a story. There's much more of a story in Lords of the Fallen. It basically starts out that humanity has been oppressed for thousands of years by a malicious and evil god. It finally bands together to overthrow this being and its minions, and they decide that all evil can be banished and create what's called a Codex of Sin. Any person that commits one of these sins is branded and then banished from humanity. All right. After centuries of this practice, demons slowly begin to return, and the good humans realize that they need those that have committed evil to fight evil. All right, so they go in looking for the worst of the worst, which is you, a man, Harkin, the worst of the banished, to save all of humanity.
You're awful.
You're basically the worst person in the world.
It's kind of like a Kratos
what
a
did
little
you
bit,
do?
maybe.
In a way, yes, yeah. So they're definitely adopting a lot of things that they liked about different games.
Kratos was at least a hero to his own people, wasn't he?
Yes.
He kind of started off that way, yeah.
And in Lords of the Fallen, it sounds like you're just a jerk.
You're just a
You're just a jerk.
You're a
Well, if you
jerk.
see him, if you look at
You're
the
a jerk,
trailer
but
and
you're
on
really
the
powerful.
cover, you see a lot of tattoos everywhere and everything like that over his
Yeah.
body. And this is just markings.
He's
of
just a
things
stupid
done.
jerk face.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Normally we don't give such a big description of the story when we talk about games like this, but see, I really insist that the story is one of the big things that distinguishes itself from Dark Souls. So we want to make sure you guys knew that. There will be 3 classes to pick from: the Rogue, Warrior, and Cleric. Each class has their own special attack based on earned action points. And the class properties are reliant on the armor worn. This armor can be changed later on if you would like to change up the style that you are playing in. You'll notice in the game that there are shards throughout. When certain bosses are defeated, the certain shard in a certain area will activate, and you can run it as like a certain trial. So it might be an arena trial with multiple enemies, or it might be that same boss or a similar boss, just heightened difficulty level, I guess you could say.
Cool.
One unique thing that you might not like about this game,
Okay.
but if you wait for the entire explanation, you actually might like a little more. The boss battles are unique in that they occur in stages. Each stage leads up to a new attack or action by the boss. So people familiar with like Zelda, Metroid, Mario are familiar with that. But on top of that, there are unique challenges that the player can accomplish them, and they are going to be quite hard. You will reward the player with a special version of what it provides. So let's say it's an axe,
cool.
and you fight this enemy. If you can fight this enemy without dying once, you get a special version of the axe that normally would drop that might do a special attack, like it sends shockwave damage in the general area.
Now this is a next gen only game, right?
Because
I want to say that it looks good. I think it looks really nice.
I can't remember honestly. I forgot to put that down.
I think the lighting is especially what looks great. I love the way the shadow, like the low light, puts the shadows on the walls and stuff. Really looks good.
Yeah, it does. It has very good graphics too, and I mean, even in the dark settings, which is what you'll notice too, it's not as dark as Dark Souls is. There's a lot more light to it. It's not as maybe bright and brilliant as people had an issue with in Diablo.
Yeah.
But it still does have that, a little bit nicer appeal to it.
And a lot of it is destructible too. I'm noticing. Like he can just destroy everything.
Yeah. And so one thing that people have not an issue with, but you have
small
to plan.
Doorways, benches, just anything made out of wood, he just destroys.
Well, I mean, in Dark Souls how you have to be aware of how big your weapon is in corridors against the wall. You don't have to in this. It's focused.
Man.
I know that was a big thing for people like you for difficulty. However, they want you to be focused, and I'll get to that in a minute. Focus more on the actual combat itself.
Gotcha.
Do you have anything you want to?
No, well, I was gonna. We have so many Twitch hearts right now that I kind of wanted to round them off before we move on.
A couple?
Yeah, let's just get these out real quick. I got them here, Mark. If you want me to.
Also, Kopi.
Go ahead.
Lemon Hands. Pewter Dude 76. OG Link. Deer Master. MLG Pro Hacking. JT Budman. Crixt 21. Domination 2014. It's Strangler. Indie Linux. Jerome Bradley 100. Bend the Mind. Inspire. Blessed Brain 4. Yippee Skippy.
That's it now. Yep. Only ones I saw here that I have is Indie Linux and I Am Legend as well. I see on here. Thank you guys for the Twitch charts, and that probably puts us. We're probably getting pretty close to 1,200. So I thought maybe we would do one final push while we do the Wild Game Appears here. So guys, see if you can get us to 1,200 hearts before 12:30. That's when our episode 45 ends, and we're going to continue with the Wild Game Appears. And just go on twitch.tv/the Level Up Show and heart us if you want notifications whenever the shows go live. So.
We're over 1,200?
Over 1,200.
Oh, we're
1207.
Wow.
Wow, that's all. See, I told you the
Jeez.
emphasis on pushing it. 1207. So we got about 40-ish just since I said it earlier.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. That's unbelievable. I never thought that we were going to be at that. Jesus. All right. Thank you so much, guys. But keep them coming. Keep them coming.
You need to drink some. All right, so
Shine bright like a diamond.
like really bad. All right, so guys, as I was saying, just like Dark Souls, a lot of people are saying it's going to be familiar, and it's going to seem familiar in terms of control and combat, paying attention to the enemies, locking onto the enemies, trying to take on only one at a time instead of multiple hordes like you would in a normal hack and slash. However, that being said, Lords of the Fallen does play much quicker. There's more emphasis placed on fast slashing and combos. It's not a hack and slash in part, but doing this will, going into hack and slash will, probably kill you very quickly. But it does allow a little bit more ease and more, I guess, finesse than the brutal.
I don't know why, I guess, necessarily they're comparing it a lot to Dark Souls.
Because it is honestly, if so many people that have played it, that's all they talk about. Every reviewer that's played it, that's...
From what I'm seeing, it looks a lot like Diablo, like a more one-on-one Diablo version.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds like everybody's saying it's a lot like Dark Souls, except it's different in like every way.
Well, I mean, they're trying to show how it's different because this is different. It is a similar style as far as like very brutal, very harsh learning curve and everything like that. I mean, you still have to observe the enemies. You have to kind of lure them out, find out their attacks and everything like that before running at them blindly because you'll probably just get destroyed quickly. Now, if you see a glowing area of stones, that represents a spawn point. You can use that to heal and replenish all of your health potions as many times as you want as you work your way to the boss. However, if you die, all the enemies will return. All right, you'll spawn at that spawn point, but everything around you will return.
That's like Dark Souls.
Yes. Now, in unlike similar games, Lords of the Fallen places a lot more checkpoints near boss areas. You can then bank. Guys, Sherry, I'm sorry, bud. We're not taking calls right now. We'll be taking calls after this segment, I believe. I think that's when Drew spaced it out for.
3C Gaming would like to shout out to his fiancee Brittany on her cake day.
Oh, it's her birthday too. That's great. She has
Cake
2
day.
birthdays today. Ryan and what's her name?
Brittany.
Brittany. Happy birthday, guys. But yeah, so now if you see one of the respawn points near the boss, you can actually bank your XP there. All right. However, if you bank your XP, you lose all multiplayers that you've been building up. All right. So you can choose whether or not you think you're going to die right away, or if you think you got this, you can handle it, you can go with it. Now, if you die, your XP drops into place. A ghost of your former self stays there, like in Dark Souls. Now, you have to race. Now, this is where it's different. You have to race back to your ghost of where your XP was, because the more time you waste, the more your XP runs out. It's like on a timer. So every second you waste, it's like
depreciating.
It's a depreciating timer. Yes. So now that being said, you can also stand by your ghost and build up your defensive buffer. All right, but you lose that XP if you die. So let's say you go back and you had 1,000 XP left. You can sit there and wait as your defense buffer raises until you have a good defense buffer with say 500 XP left. All right, you can go towards the boss, try to kill him. If you die, your XP all goes away, but you keep that defensive buffer for the second time. You still have however much of a defensive buffer you have.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like there's some strategy involved with min-maxing there.
Yeah, so it's definitely a really big balance rate in that. The gameplay and pacing is different, and as you can access many areas before you really need to get there or at the recommended level.
You look at this here. This is of accessing areas here.
Wow,
so
perfect.
he just destroyed a certain bench or something like that, like a cabinet, and then he was able to roll under the gate and find a secret chest in this room. So that's pretty cool.
Right, but on top of that, entire areas.
Anymore.
So let's say that you're supposed to go down an X path. With Dark Souls, from what I understand, it's pretty much you go here, then you go here, then you go here, then you go here. So with these are all the areas that you can go to. You can go here right now, however, you don't really need to fight that area or that boss. So later on when you go back, you'll get better loot, but you can go in that area, try to find the lore and everything like that. So it is a little bit more open. It's not sprawling world, it's not a sandbox game like Skyrim or anything like that, but it is definitely much more open than any of the other games like it. One of the best changes.
You weren't very limited in Dark Souls necessarily, as long as you can beat the bosses.
Right.
So you can go into any area at any point in time. It's just a matter of how good you are and if you can beat them.
Right.
I went the wrong way at the beginning of Dark Souls. It's like, I can go up or I can go down. Let me go down here.
Right.
And I got my ass kicked by skeletons because I just didn't know what I was doing, and they were infinitely respawning. So, because I couldn't kill the enemy to stop them from respawning.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Now, one of the biggest changes is the skill tree in the game. Many have referenced to the Borderlands skill tree, which is a huge compliment to them. Borderlands is probably one of the best skill trees in any game I've ever played. So you really have to plan out what abilities you're going to want later on.
Mark, can you ban that one guy?
What's up?
Limp Doodle. Can you ban him, please?
Yeah, probably good. Yeah, I would say
It's easier for you to ban than me.
That would be a good one.
Banned.
Hammer. Go ahead, Mike.
Ban Hammer. Ban Hammer.
Oh, good. He was just trying to raid more too, and you banned him. Good job.
Yes, douche. All right. Anyway, so yeah, you must plan out what skills you want later on in the game. So even though, let's say you want one skill that's readily available right away, make sure that it's in the same tree as a skill that you're going to want later on down the line, something that will help you later on in the game. So you got to plan ahead. Sherry, bud, we're not taking calls right now, so please just hold off a little bit.
Yep. Doing while a game appears right now, Sherry.
Yeah. Now you have a selection of spells to assist them, which the devs have nicknames as smart bombs, which is a weird title, but whatever. They give you an upper hand in harder areas. However, you can avoid using any spells. There's apparently achievements for not using any spells in the game. However, players that want to use them can to get an upper hand. It's not you're not really breaking the game by using these. However, the players that do avoid using the spells, who would never use them, will get better loot or extra goodies throughout the game. So that's a real big thing.
Go back and play some more of this because some people in the chat room are saying, "Wow, this graphical engine is gorgeous. It really does look good. It does."
Did they make it for this game, or is it a new engine?
I'm not sure. I really don't know, but it does look really good. I have to agree.
So.
A lot of what affects games is the lighting and shadows.
Yeah.
Shadow effects. I've seen some differences, and you'll see it when they're upscaling like older games, like Skyrim or even like Morrowind. The big thing that they do is that they tweak the lighting and the shadows.
And what's cool is it really does seem like this is the console version of the game too, because I'm seeing little button presses showing. I think this is the Xbox One version, so it looks really good for a console version.
Real quick, PS4 because says open your legs. All right, well here you go. All right, so anyway, guys, as I was saying before, on top of having their own spells, each class has their own attacks.
Open your legs.
Each one has their own attacks. In combination with the game's 11 different weapons types, including Wolverine-style melee claws. All right, so that's pretty cool. I guess it's going to be for more fast-paced players. Where am I at? This has a lot of different playstyles suiting any player. The speed and damage are determined on the player's attribute, as well as the ability to use certain weapons. So, just like in other games, if you don't have the right attributes selected for your character, you might not be able to. So, if you're more in light attacks and very swift, very quick, you might not be able to pick up heavy items as well. So, you might not be able to, hold a pike.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. Sherry, I think what he really wants to say is that he is going live. He's doing his own little stream after we're done.
Okay.
So, guys, look for Sherry in the chat room. And Sherry, just post in the chat room, man. Post what your Twitch is, and if people want to watch your stream after ours ends, yeah, you're welcome to, guys. So, try and do that, because we're really busy right now.
This is what,
I might have to sign out.
I'll just sign out now.
Yeah.
All right, I'm almost done. But once the player beats the game, they will be presented with a new option of New Game Plus. Obviously, it'll increase the difficulty, but it'll also provide a new class and more lore to find around the game. New Game Plus increases the difficulty further and unlocks yet another skill tree. The open style of the game encourages exploration and rewards those that do that. Worth pointing out the humble and candid nature of the developer. They know who and what games they're up against, but don't strive to be clones. They have their take and feel. It's unique and fun in its own way. So.
Yeah. I'm really optimistic about this game, but at the same time, Bound by Flames looked pretty good too.
Bound by Flames looked okay.
Yeah.
The idea and the concept behind it looked alright, but we always knew that the graphics were going to be bad.
Yeah.
But it was more so we didn't realize how buggy the gameplay was going to be.
This looks pretty good.
This doesn't look bad. I played it too.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Exactly.
And it was tough. It was really tough. That big hulking boss that kind of looked like the Butcher from Diablo. I played him. They were actually giving out a T-shirt if anybody could beat him on the first try without dying.
But tough means nothing in terms of quality. Was it fun to play?
Yeah, and that's what I was actually getting into. It was tough, but it wasn't like one of those things where like I'm done, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay there. There were kids that were dying over and over again, where the people had to be like, guys, there's a lot of people that want to play. You have to leave. So
I wonder, could this be another dark horse? It's like Shadow of Mordor. Better reviewed than Destiny. That's possible. But that seems to be the case right now. What was it recently? Shadow of Mordor reviewed better than Destiny. I wouldn't be surprised if this reviews very well as well, with nines.
Then again, this comes back to the hype thing.
Yeah.
You build up so much hype for something, and when it doesn't live up to your expectations, it's going to get poor reviews.
Sure,
because you're disappointed now. But when you've never heard of something and you start playing it, and you're like, holy crap, this thing is awesome. Well, yeah, you're going to give it a great score. Scores are subjective.
Mm-hmm.